Okay, guys and girls, welcome to lesson 13. We've got lots of sculpting and remodeling and meshing to do, as straight away what we're going to do is remesh our arm and hand. This is because after sculpting the hand a bit, my thumb was a bit too stretchy and low poly, so I just needed to remesh it in order to get the thumb to sit nicely on the hand. So don't be afraid to press R to bring up your remesh topology and Control R to confirm. Obviously this works with 3.5 in Blender and above, 3.5 version and above. I did make the hand a little bit bigger, as you can see, so I'm just quickly re-sculpting it back over from our previous lesson and then making the fingers a little bit bigger, because I noticed we had T-Rex looking hands compared to the proportion of the body. Now it's very difficult for trying to get hands spot on the first time round. You must be some sort of an absolutely genius, I think, to get the proportion right at first time. I wasn't far off. I mean, I think I was a couple of inches all the way around, or a bit off. So as you can see, I'm just sculpting over the hand, pulling it out using inflate tool, smoothing it over, and then grabbing the bit and creating the knuckles. And also my thumb was much easier to remesh and sculpt now, as it was before. It was a bit more trickier than before. Thumb looks much bigger than the other fingers. That's not to worry, because we can wait until I'm going to wait until we've scaled up the fingers and then work a bit more on the thumb. So I've slowed down the video here, and this is where I'm trying to click on the fingers. So Alt Q is the quick click on the mesh if it's a separate object. And I'm going to select all of these, as you can see, in edit mode, and I'm just currently playing around with the fingers. I'm going to scale them all up together at the same time so they all keep the same size, and then just grab individually each one and then move them. Sometimes I like to turn the body, like the legs and the body, just hide them in the background. Just go to object mode, press H to hide, or press Alt plus H to unhide them. And that is because every time I rotate around the hand, I kept on disappearing into the leg. So it can be a bit frustrating sometimes when you do that, but that's not to worry. So I'm just replacing the index finger and then now the middle finger. So I'm just going to speed it up here whilst I'm just putting these into place. I spent a lot of time actually sculpting the hand. It's very difficult. If you have a look, if you've got some reference images and pictures to look at, to go off by, that's fantastic. Or you can just look at your own hand and just have a look at the markings and where the pads, like the fat pads, on the anatomy parts of the hands. That also goes with the rest of the entire body. I'm not sure I've mentioned before. Just looking at the anatomy of the body. Spitting feathers here. But yeah. So once you've done the hands and you're happy with them, just leave that as it is with the fingers, and then we're going to move straight on to the foot. So here on the foot, I'm just trying to see if I've got my heel, if I need to smooth that down a little bit more. It looks a bit square, but that's not to worry, because everything will look different at the end. We'll be putting clothes on this avatar later on, so things will be changing. As you can see, so I'm just smoothing down the feet. I'm not going to do much on the toes right now. I'm just got the sculpt brush and just smoothing that down. I'm just trying to think, because I want to put high heels on this avatar. So I think the best method in doing that is to just grab the underneath of the heel once it's nice and flat, and then pull that down. But at the moment I'll just put in some markings where the ankles and the muscle lines would be, but we're going to add them in as well just after we've added the high heels in. So with the grab tool brush in sculpt mode, we're just going to just sculpt things over smoothly, and then just grab a center piece of like a center vertex with a nice small grab brush, and then just pull that straight down. You can go orthographic mode if you need to, just to help you get the straightness of the heel to go straight down. And then, as you can see, I'm constantly making mistakes, then pressing Ctrl Z to undo. And then we're just grabbing that and bringing that back down, and then just smoothing it over once we have stretched the geometry. Don't matter about the geometry going super really small at the end there, but that's okay. We will remesh that and correct that. So let's just keep on making mistakes, and then press Ctrl Z to undo. That is your best friend, Ctrl Z. So, and then once you're done, I'm just going to speed this up. I'm just going to smooth it over the heel, and I was just experimenting here and see if I could push that in. But for now, I think I'm going to just leave that and just make sure the heel's nice and pointy all the way around just for now. And then just give it a quick smooth over again, and just make sure it's at the same flat level. Make sure it's the same level as your front of your toes, as what I was going here. And then afterwards, because the female avatar is standing on her toes when women stand in their shoes, you will see a bit more of their muscles showing on the back and above the heel. So what we're going to do now is just smooth that over, and using the draw sharp and the clay strips brushes, we're going to just draw them on to the back of the foot. As you can see here, I'm just experimenting, drawing on the clay strips, and then just grabbing and smoothing it down from the insides, just creating the muscle bits and the ridges like you would see on the back of a foot. I think my foot ankle may be a little bit too high in order to in comparison to where the heel is, but if that's the case, it's not a problem. We can go to the grab brush, pull that down, and just inflate any areas that look too skinny, or we can just smooth down any areas that look too big to become smaller. So as you can see, I'm just going over with the grab, just smoothing things down, pushing things in, pulling things out, trying to get it to look as good as possible, and just make sure you try and get the ankles to show as well as the muscles on the side of the foot. I was just pressing multiple buttons there, pressing the wrong buttons. Always pressing the wrong buttons. That's what you get when you're not looking at your keyboard. So I keep on pulling the heel in and out because I'm just not quite happy with the way it's sitting. But it is a little difficult sometimes in proportion, because you never know how big you're going to need the ankle, the foot, in comparison to the whole body until you look at the whole body. When you look at the entire body, some bits may look a little funny in comparison, therefore you will always have to go back and over it, just a few touches here and there to correct the sizes. It's incredibly difficult, but it's very, very rewarding. And I'm hoping I can eventually get this looking as good as I should. So I just keep on moving and adjusting, spending lots of time on the ankle. There is a lot of footage I cut out because it's just far too long for each lesson to show. I'm pretty sure you don't want to sit there for 60 minutes just watching me do one part of the body. It can be pretty repetitive and boring, but that is basically the way of sculpting. A lot of experimenting with the tools. If you're still new to the tools, then that is a good idea to practice. Well, anyway, that's the end of this lesson, and I'll catch you in the next one.